welcome to another episode of Cooking with Kerry. I'm Kerry Murphy, the Health and Wellness Coordinator for the City of Salem, and we are here today at the Community Life Center, and we are going to harvest some kale from their new raised garden beds, and then we're going to go in and make a new recipe for sauteed garlic and kale. So the great thing about kale is it's really easy to grow. You can grow it in a raised bed, you can grow it right in the ground, or you can even grow it in a pot. And it likes the cool months, so you can start it early in the spring, have it all summer, and then replant it for the fall. One thing to remember though about harvesting kale is that you want to take the biggest leaves from the bottom, snap them off right at the stalk, the beginning of the stalk, and try not to take more than 3 leaves per plant, just so you don't shock the plant. It'll keep your kale plant healthy. So now we have enough kale for our recipe, so we're going to go inside and start cooking. So before we start cooking, we're going to talk a little bit about how to store your farmer's market produce. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to prevent spoilage and keep them as fresh for as long as possible. There's nothing worse than bringing home a beautiful bag of farmer's market produce and then finding it at the back of your fridge wilted and unusable at the end of the week. So in order to ensure that you're eating your produce and not throwing it in your compost bin, I'm just going to give you some simple tips on how to store them. So the 3 things to keep in mind when you store your produce are airflow, temperature, and ethylene gas. So ethylene gas is a substance that is naturally emitted from many fruits and a few vegetables too, but mostly fruits. And it's a natural substance that just helps promote ripening. So some food producers even spray ethylene gas on their products just to quicken the ripening process. The problem with ethylene gas is that when ethylene promoters, like these bananas, have a high amount of ethylene, are stored next to ethylene sensitive vegetables, it can cause the vegetables to spoil more quickly. So when you're storing bananas, the ethylene gas actually comes out of the stem. So one way you can help decrease that is to put plastic wrap over the stem, but you still don't want to store it near any other vegetables or fruits that are also ethylene producing, like bananas and apples. It'll cause both of them to spoil more quickly. Tomatoes are also ethylene producers, so you don't want to store them in the vegetable bin with leafy greens like kale, celery, lettuce, or cucumbers, which are sensitive to ethylene and they will rot more quickly. Citrus, like oranges, are not ethylene sensitive, so you can store apples and oranges together and it will not cause the oranges to ripen or spoil more quickly. Avocados and potatoes also produce ethylene, so you want to keep that in mind too when you're storing them as well. There are a few fruits that do not produce ethylene and are not ethylene sensitive. Most berries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, and also cherries, so you don't have to worry about the ethylene gas, and you can store them in the fridge with other fruits and vegetables. So some fruits and vegetables prefer to be stored at room temperature, and some do better in the fridge. So some examples of produce that can be stored at room temperature: bananas. Bananas can be kept at room temperature. They can also be kept in the fridge. However, the skin will turn brown when they're in the cold. It doesn't do anything to the fruit. It doesn't hurt it, but it just won't look as nice. But when it does get too warm at room temperature, you will find that they will get spotted and ripen more quickly. Tomatoes should also be kept at room temperature until they're very ripe, and then they can also be kept in the fridge for a couple of days. Apples, most people do keep them at room temperature, like in a fruit bowl on the counter. However, they do like the cold and they will last longer if you keep them in the crisper drawer of your fridge. Same with oranges. They can be kept either at room temperature or in the fridge, but they might last a little longer if they're in the refrigerator. Avocados should be kept at room temperature until they get very ripe, and then they can be thrown in the fridge too. And if you do buy avocados that are not ripe yet, the best way to quicken the ripening process is to keep them in a paper bag overnight, and that will help speed up the ripening process. Potatoes like to be kept in a cool, dry, dark place. So not in the fridge, but if you have a pantry cabinet that doesn't get too warm, preferably somewhere away from the stove, you can keep them in a loose container. That's when we talk about the airflow. Potatoes need to have some air circulation, or else they will start to sprout and turn green. So you could keep a few potatoes in an open plastic container like this. And when we talk about potato sprouting, if your potato just gets a few sprouts on it and the skin is still firm and not turning green, you can safely cut those off and still eat the potato. However, if your potato is starting to really be covered with sprouts, it's starting to get a little soft, and you notice any greenness at all, that is indicative of a toxic substance that accumulates in the potato skin, and you should just toss it because at that point it's not safe to eat. Onions and garlic also like to be stored at room temperature in a cooler, dark place, but not with your potatoes, because the potatoes produce ethylene and onions are sensitive to ethylene, so your onions might spoil more quickly if you keep them together. So keep them in a separate container. They can be stored together. And again, make sure you have plenty of airflow. Keep it in a nice open container, and they should be good for several weeks. Beets, carrots, and other root vegetables, other than potatoes, garlic, and onions, they like to be stored in the fridge, and you can keep them in a Ziploc bag, and they should keep for a couple of weeks. However, if you buy them with the greens on, you should cut them off first, because the greens will take the moisture away from the vegetable, and they will dry out and get soft quicker. So you can trim them and then just put them in a Ziploc bag and seal it, make sure all the air is out, and then you can store them right in your fridge. Leafy greens like kale, lettuce, and spinach are best stored unwashed in the fridge in a sealed Ziploc bag. When you wash it, it tends to retain that moisture and it can get limp. However, if you want to wash it first, what you could do is just make sure you dry it. You can use a salad spinner, or you can dry it on paper towels, but just put a paper towel in the Ziploc bag with it to help absorb some of that moisture. Cucumbers, they like the cold, but they don't like anything lower than 40 degrees, or what they get what's called a chilling injury. And you'll notice if it's too cold, they'll get pits and they'll start to get mushy, usually within a few days. So the best thing to do is keep it at the part of the fridge away, farthest away from the cooling element, usually in the front of the fridge. And you can also keep them on the countertop for a couple of days, but if it's too warm, they will also get soft. So it is better to keep them in the fridge. Celery, if you're not cutting it up, you can keep that also stored in a Ziploc bag or a produce bag for at least a week or two. And another way to store celery is to chop it up. So you can chop them into celery sticks and then put it in a sealed container like a mason jar submerged in water. And this will keep for at least a week like this. So then it's ready for snacking or putting in salads. Herbs are definitely the most challenging for me to keep fresh because you only tend to use a little bit at a time, and often if you don't use the whole bunch of cilantro or parsley within a week, it starts to get slimy. So rather than keep them in a bag in the fridge, what you can do to keep them fresh are for the soft leafy herbs like cilantro, mint, and dill. You can put them almost like a bouquet in a little bit of water, just so that the stems are getting wet. And then you can keep that in the fridge and cover it with a small Ziploc bag just to keep the moisture in. So just open up the bag and just stick it as much as you can over the top and throw it in the fridge. Basil, the same thing, except you don't have to put basil in the fridge. You want to keep the basil somewhere where it can get a little bit of sunshine, but still submerge the stems in water, and that'll help the basil stay fresh for like a week. Another option for storing your herbs is to freeze them. One method is the ice cube tray method, where you chop up the herbs roughly, and you can do this with any leafy herb. I used parsley. And fill the ice cube tray, each cube, to about 2/3 full, and then just pour a thin layer of olive oil over the top and freeze it overnight. And then when you're ready, you can just pop out a cube and throw it right in whatever you're cooking, and it's already got the olive oil in it as well. So this is one way. And another way, I use thyme for this, is to just wash and pat dry herbs like thyme, rosemary, any of the kind of woody, tougher herbs, and put it on a paper towel on a baking sheet and just stick it in the freezer overnight, and that flash freezes it, and then you can store it in a Ziploc bag for several months. Just remember to date and name your bag so you don't forget what it is or when you put it in. So now we're going to prep our kale and make a sauteed kale and garlic recipe. Very easy, delicious, and you can serve it as a side dish. The first thing we want to do though is we want to wash and dry our kale. I've already rinsed this off and dried it with some paper towels, or you can dry it in the salad spinner. Next, you're going to need about 3 cloves of garlic peeled, and we're just going to slice it up. And we'll also need some, you can use chicken or vegetable broth. I'm using chicken, low sodium chicken broth. You need some olive oil and salt and pepper to taste. For the kale, what you're going to want to do is rip the leaves off of the stem. The stem is pretty tough and you're not going to want to eat it, and then you can just compost the stems. You can chop the kale with a knife, but I find it easier to just rip it into bite-sized pieces. Next, you're going to add about 1/4 cup of olive oil into the heated pan. I'm just going to eyeball it, because that's how I tend to do things. And then once the olive oil is heated and you can see it shimmering a little bit, you're going to add in the garlic. You can hear it sizzle a little bit. That's a good sign. Then just make sure you stir it around so it doesn't get burnt. So next you're going to add your kale leaves. Woo! That's what happens when you don't get all the water off of the kale. So you want to make sure your kale is nice and dry. So once the kale is coated in the olive oil, you're going to add in about 1/2 cup of stock. You can also use water, but I find the stock gives a little bit more of a flavor. And as you're cooking, you can just season it with a little salt and pepper. And some other options, if you like a little more spicy, you can add some red pepper flakes. So if you've got a lot of kale and you're looking for other ideas other than sauteing it, kale is also great in smoothies if you want to add it in with some fruit. Kale chips are always a good option, and kids tend to like those. And you can also add it to salads. Kale tends to be a little tougher than like baby spinach or lettuce, so if you find it tougher to chew, you can always coat it in a little bit of olive oil and rub the leaves for a couple of minutes, and that really will soften it up. Or you can also blanch it for 1 minute in boiling water. So you just blanch the leaves, take it out and quickly put it into cold water to stop the cooking, dry it off, and then the leaves will be really tender and you can add it to your salads. So this is just about done. So I'm going to turn off the heat and then we'll serve it. Okay, so our kale is ready to serve. And you can use this as a side dish, or you can add some protein to it, like some grilled chicken strips. Chickpeas would be a good option, or even some white beans like cannellini beans, and then have it like as a lunchtime salad. So here we have our farm fresh, right out of the garden kale, sauteed with garlic and olive oil. So before we go, we want to say a big thank you to the Council on Aging and the Community Life Center for hosting us today. And also a big thank you to the backyard growers in Gloucester, who were the ones who created the raised beds here and the reason why we have the fresh kale to cook today. So thank you, and thank you for watching.